Okay, we're down to our last video project and the last project for this class. What we're going to be doing this time is a music video. What we've got is a music video that was shot in a church, a guy sitting playing the piano from various different angles, and you'll need to cut this together. I want to show you because getting it all in sync is kind of tricky, so I want to show you how you can manage this very easily and do your edit very quickly. So let's get started. So like in the Greyhound video, the files are fairly big, so I've divided them up into 3 zip files. I've already unzipped them. You guys know how to do that. Double click on it and it'll unzip. But what I want to do is I want to put everything into one folder. If I click on here, I've got, open these up, you can see that I've got things in each folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight these and move them to this 1 of 3 folder. I'm going to do the same thing here and move it there. So I'm going to close these out. I don't need these folders anymore, so I'm just going to get rid of them, take them down, put them in the trash. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to rename this so that number 11, music video. All right, so I've got everything in this one folder. So let's open up Premiere. So I want to start a new project. I'm going to call this 2302 music video. And then I'm going to browse and make sure that I'm going to, here is my folder that everything else is in. It's on the desktop. So I want to make sure I'm saving everything to that. So I'm choosing that, I'm going to hit choose and say OK. All right, so here is our Premiere. The first thing we want to do is import in all of our assets. So because we've saved it in this folder, it's already here. So we want to get, so we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 video files and then a music file. So I want to highlight all of those and I'm going to import them. All right, so there they are. So what I want to show you guys is that what we've got is, here are the different angles, close up of the piano, the keyboard. Here is just a blank keyboard. Here is a kind of a 3/4 shot. And this one, this particular one doesn't go all the way through, so they've got another take. This one goes all the way through. We've got this close up, and this is close-up of him singing. Now here is an extreme wide shot, and because we can't see his mouth or his hands, he's just kind of up there playing, so there's not any real sync going on here. And the same thing with this one. Hang on. Is again, it's so wide, we don't see his mouth, we don't really see his hands, so he's just up there playing. But on this one, we're over the back of the piano, and this one we are over to the side, but we see his hands and his mouth, so he is singing to that. Now before we go any further, I want to show you the music video that they made. This is their edit, so you get an idea of how this plays out.
Like I thought they'd be. My hands are cold as the Baltic Sea, and reminisce on the good and the bad. Remind myself everything that I had. Don't you know I do anything for
Okay, so there's an idea of things. I'm not asking you to duplicate that. You make your edit. Edit it the way you want to edit it together. Your mix of shots and how long you hold shots, that is up to you. I will tell you that you've got to use something from every angle. Not every take, but every angle. If you remember, there's the ultra wide shot, then the wider shot, then there's the one from kind of shooting through a pillar, then there's the shot from looking down over the piano. There's then the close up. So you've got all these the multiple different shots. I think there's about 7 angles. So you've got to make sure you include all 7 angles in this video. Okay, so let me show you how to sync all these things up. So the first thing I want to do is I want to put in, create a sequence that matches my footage. So I can take any one of these and I'm just going to drag it down and put it there. So now I have a sequence that matches my footage. That is very important. I don't want to hang on to this, so I'm going to get rid of it. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is open up our audio file. Now we want to find a sync mark. They didn't have a clapper slate on this, so these are not in, there's no way to sync them up other than play. So if we listen to this, okay, right there, that big beat. So let me explain how they shot this. What they did is they mic'd up him and this piano, and they recorded the close-up where he's singing. And so they recorded that, then they played that back through an earpiece so he could mimic to that on all the other takes. So all the takes are good all the way through because they sync to that one track. So now, if we look at this big beat right here, I'm using my left and right arrow key to find that first beat, first where that beat happens, and I'm going to put a mark there. I'm going to add a mark. So you can see there's a mark that we've added. Okay, so now I'm going to play down. Let me speed it up. Now listen to his words. Okay, so I'm going to use that days are long like I thought they'd be. And if you look at that hard consonant of B, you can really tell when my lips part B when I do it. But if I sound out something, that soft syllable or soft consonant doesn't do that. But it's the B. Days are long like I thought they'd be. So that gives me a sync mark. All right, so I'm going to... Days are long like I thought they'd be. So that's the beginning of B. So I'm going to put another marker there. So I've got 2 markers. One that if I'm seeing the keyboard or I'm seeing his hands, I've got a marker for that. If I'm seeing his face, then I've got a marker for that. So now I'm going to put my soundtrack down on my timeline. But I don't need all of this, so I'm going to go back here. After he says take 1, I'm going to put a mark an endpoint. Then I'm going to go down here to the end. Doesn't need to fade all the way out, so I'm going to put a mark there. So I'm going to grab right here where it shows audio only, bring it down here, and I'm going to put it on my audio 1 track. So you can see, now, I put the markers up here in the source window, and you can see that they are, let me open this up a little bit and see if you can see a little better. So there, and let's zoom into it. So there you can see the 2 marks. And why that's important, if I move this around, those marks stay with this track. Where if I put a mark, here, let's put a mark here, and I'm going to add a marker here. you can see if I move this around, that marker doesn't move with it. It doesn't stay with it. So that doesn't do me a whole lot of good. I'm going to clear that marker out. So now I've got my soundtrack down. I'm going to bring this up, and now I want to bring a track in. So I'm going to start off with the close-up of the hands. So let's play this, and since I don't see his mouth, I'm going to use that big beat. There's the big. I'm using my left arrow key to back up. So there it is. So I'm going to give a mark here. So what I'm going to do is, I don't really need the sound. I'm going to take the picture. I'm going to bring it down here, and I'm not going to put it on track 1. I'm going to put it on track 2. We're going to save track 1 for our actual edit. I'll explain that later. So you can see here is our 2 sync marks that need to be in a row. This one down here is where he says, you know, days are long like I thought they'd be. This is our big piano beat. So I'm going to trim this off so that I can bring this track up. This is why I want those marks to stay with my track. Now watch what happens when it gets to, when the 2 things line up. You can see there's a little line there. There's a blue line that says those 2 are lined up. Now watch. Those are in sync. All right, so and then I'm going to just go ahead and bring this all the way back to the beginning. So now, that's our empty keyboard. Let me go to him, the close-up of him singing. Here it is. So on this one, I don't see his hands, and he's not even really playing the piano. So here he goes. See, and there it is. You can see that part of the lips, B, very prominent. So I'm going to put my mark there. I can do here or do a shortcut key of an M. So there we've got it. Okay, so now I'm going to drag this down and put it on track 3. Now, this is our piano beat. Let me zoom out a little bit here. And so here is our place where we want to sync up the days are long like I thought they'd be. So let's zoom out to where we can see our track. So I'm going to trim that back. I'm going to bring this up. And there it is. You can see that blue line is telling me those 2 marks are in sync. So I'm going to go ahead and expand that out. There you go. That is in sync. All right. So let's go to the next one that is looking over the piano. Let's do this one next. So again, I can't see his fingers, so I want to look at the days are long like I thought they'd be. So there it is there. I'm going to put a mark. Just use my M. Now I'm going to grab it and bring it down and put it right above track 3. What happens is it's not a track 4, but as soon as I let go, Premiere creates a track 4 for me. So I'm going to trim some of this off so I can put this down and make sure it's in sync. I sync up those marks. There you go. Now I want to show you something. Look, if we go all the way down. So you can see that we're in sync all the way down. So I'm only syncing these tracks up once. If I tried to sync every time that I wanted to use a shot, I would be here all day. This will make it easier for your edit. I will show you once we start editing. All right, so now let's find let's find this one. This is another one where he is, where we, whoop, wrong one. We can see his mouth. Now, in order to see his mouth better, if you look right here where it says fit, I'm going to zoom in about 200 times, and I can then position him in the screen to where now I'm just hitting L to make it go a little faster until he starts singing. So there it is. You kind of have to lip read where days are long like I thought they'd be. So there is the B. So right there. So I'm going to put my mark. Now I'm going to grab the video and come down and put that on, above track 4. So again, here is our, let me zoom in some here on this. So you can see here is our sync mark. This is where it needs to sync up to. So I'm going to trim some off the top of that so I have room to move it. And if I go right here, there it is in sync. You can see that line that appears. There it is. Now I'm going to extend it back out. There he is, he's in sync. All right. So let me go back to this and go back to fit. All right, so what other angles do we have? We've got those two, but there's nothing in those that need to be sunk up. We've done that one. Have we done this one? Now here, we can go over here, and by turning these off, we can see what we got. So we haven't sunk up this one yet. So let's go back here. And again, we can kind of lip read. So here he goes. Days are long like I thought they'd be. So there's my B right there. Right there. So I'm going to put a mark, use my M. I'm going to grab the video part, bring it down and put it above my track 5. Now let's do this. I can grab this line here since we only have the one audio track. Let's drag that down so that we can see what we're doing. So here is that sync mark. If I collapse that some, bring it down, and there is that mark where they're in sync. So there we go, that's in sync. So let's see what else we've got. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so the last two are our ultimate wide shots. Let's see, where are they? Here is the one shot. Let's put this in next. And what we can do is just grab this and put it there. We don't have to worry about syncing it. We may have to play around with what we use out of this, but I'll show you that later. And then we have the ultimate wide shot. So let's grab that and bring it down and put it on the track there. So now we have got all 7 angles. And we've got everything in sync. Now, next thing I want to do is let's listen to the music. Sounds a little loud. If you remember, we click on that, go up here to clip, audio options, audio gain, and I like to use the set gain. And so I'm going to do a -3 on it. And let's see how that, that's averaging pretty close to -12. So I'm happy with that. So now I am ready to start editing. So this is where editing starts happening. All this other stuff was pre-editing so that we could figure out how to make things work. So, or to get sync and whatnot. So we're ready to edit. So now you ask yourself, what's my first shot? Do I want to start with this ultra wide shot? which of these shots do I want? And you can see I'm just turning the eyeballs off so I can see each layer. So I kind of like starting off on this keyboard. So I'm going to start on the keyboard and I'm going to listen. And I want to go about that far. So what I'm going to do now is go to my tools here and go to my razor tool, which is also C for cut if you want. So I can use my keyboard shortcut, because the other I'm going to be using V and C, my razor tool and my selection tool. So I'm going to go to my razor tool there. I'm going to go down here because I'm looking at the eyeball as this. So this is the track that I'm dealing with. I'm going to go right here and I'm going to cut. So if I zoom in on this, you can see I've got it separated. So now I'm going to go back to my selection tool, V, and I'm going to be using my shortcut keys, I'll remind you. So now I'm going to grab this little part that I've cut. I'm going to bring it down to my first track. Now if I turn that one off and come back to the beginning, now you can see this is my edit so far. And see, I don't have anything beyond that. I'm going to use my up and down arrow keys to get right to that end, to the ending of this edit right here. So now, what's my next? That's the keyboard close-up. Here's his thing. I want to save that for when he starts singing. So what if we go here? Let's go to this shot. And again, this is your edit. Put in the things that you want to put in. So I'm just going to go here. So I'm going to go back to my C, my razor tool, and see I've got my eyeball here on, so I know I'm dealing with this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it. So I'm going to play it down. Let's go about there. So I'm going to cut that point, go back to V, my move tool, grab it and bring it down. Okay, so now you can see if I've got all the eyeballs off except for this one, here's my edit so far. So I use my up arrow to get right to that. So now I want to see this close up because I want to hear him singing. Still a little bit too long. I need to go to another shot before I go to this shot. So let's I'm going to turn that one off. So I'm going to go to this shot here. So you can see here it is. I've got the eyeball on. I'm going to go to my C tool, C shortcut key for my razor tool. I'm going to play down. Go to about there. I mean, you guys can cut on the beat, do whatever you want. I'm just trying to show you how to do this. So I'm going to go back to my V, my selection tool. I'm going to grab it and move it down. If you remember to turn these off and only have your bottom, the track 1 eyeball on, then you will see your edit. So now we're ready. I'm going to do my down arrow key to get to the end of that. So now I'm ready to go to where I see him start to sing. So I'm right at the end of my last cut. And so here's my eyeball. I'm going to go to my C tool, my cut tool, and here's the thing. I'm going to go here.
Days are long like I thought they'd be.
So I'm going to go about here, and let's cut that here. I'm going to go to V and grab that and bring it down. Now let me show you what I really want you guys to get an idea of how easy it is, because I don't have to sync up every shot, but this also gives you a graphic representation of When was the last time? Like if I wanted to use the close-up of the keyboard, I can go, yeah, I haven't used it since back here. So this gives you a graphic representation. It also lets you know, did I use something from every angle? So let me do another one. So we'll go here and let's go up to this one here. So I'm going to do my C, do a cut, play it.
My hands are cold as the Baltic Sea.
So I'm going to go to there. So here is the track that I'm pulling from. Going to go right there where my playhead is. Going to go back to my V, my selection tool. Bring that down. So you can see here is my edit on the first track. Now I do want to show you something. Let's go now. Let's go to that really wide shot. So I'm going to play it from here. See, and he's not doing a whole lot there. So I don't know if it's going to make any difference. So if we come back here, I'm going to go to my cut tool. I'm going to go to about there. Going to put my cut in there, go back to my V, my move tool, drag it straight down. Let me turn that off. So now you can see editing this way, once you get them in sync, it's very easy to find, to look around, what do I want to cut next, be able to drag that down, and you're not syncing up every shot. I tell you, if you attempt to do it that way, good luck. I've had students do it and they get counted off because they get frustrated and their shots are not in sync. Your grading is, are they in sync? Did you use all the angles? That's important to do. Now, I want to show you something else about being an editor. They've given us some stuff here that you may go, what do we need that stuff for? I'm going to show you, here is what you could do as an editor with odds and ends and do something that maybe nobody had thought about. So I'm going to go all the way down. Let's drag all the way down. I'm going to go down to a new place in our timeline. So what I'm going to do is, if you remember, we had this empty keyboard. So I'm going to grab the video of that and bring it down here. I'm just going to put it on track 1. So here is this empty keyboard. Now I've got him playing the keys. So I'm going to go down here right as he starts playing. So I'm going to go there. I'm going to put an end point. I'm not going to go all the way down. I'm just going to go down here a little bit. We don't have to go that far. Let's go here. And I'm going to bring this down. And I'm going to put it about halfway through that. So you can see we've got keys and then that appears. So then I'm going to go up here and go to my effects, to my video transitions, to my dissolve, and add a cross dissolve here. Now watch. And I go, yeah, that's kind of cool, but I think I want that to be longer. So I'm going to do a 2-second transition. Maybe that's a little too long, so let's do a 1:15. So that's a second and a half. So that'll see it. We'll get to see the keyboard for just a little bit. And then his hands appear. And so now I want to show you, okay, so we start off blank and he appears. So now if we look at, let's go back to I'm going to move this down to where we can I said, I always like to have my project and effects right next to each other. So I'm going to go back here, and if you remember our over the piano shot, I don't remember exactly which one it is. This one here. So look at what happens at the end of this. They have him get up and walk out. Okay, so I want to go here and have him, as he's finishing up the song, so let's just pick it up about here. I'm going to go down. I'm going to go about there, and I'm going to bring this down. I'm just going to drop it here. So now you can see that there he is. And so I want to go about right as he's finishing up. So I'm going to go about here. Now I'm going to go down to where he's kind of out of the shot here. Give that an end point. I'm going to grab that, bring it down, and put it here. Whoop, there we go. Going to get rid of that. So now we have him disappearing. So now I'm going to go back to my effect, my cross dissolve. I'm going to put that there. I'm going to double click. Let's zoom into it. I'm having trouble seeing it. There we go. Let's double click that. Remember our first one we did 1.5 seconds, 1:15, 30 frames a second makes 15 a half a second. So I'm going to go here. So now here he is finishing up the song and disappears. So we have bookends of he appears and does the song, and then at the end of the song he disappears. So that is why it is important that you don't throw away any incomplete takes, busted takes, that kind of thing, because they could be used. You have to think outside the box as an editor. What do I have here and what can I use to tell this story? So this is very important to keep in mind. Don't throw away anything, look at everything, and keep an open mind about editing. All right, so once you get through with your edit, you want to make sure that when you are exporting out your project, make sure all of these tracks, the eyeball is marked out, and the only eyeball is your bottom track, so you will export out the edit that you have made. I hope this all makes sense. If it doesn't, watch this again. If you're having problems, give me, email me, let me know so that we can talk about it and I can walk you through it. So good luck with this. This one's a lot of fun to do. It's a little technically challenging, but you guys can handle it. So good luck and thanks for being in this class.